Hey, this is NoxLumens, and I'll be doing active from Hackthebox today. Completed it a little bit earlier, but I wanted to go over it just to kind of maybe solidify the way that I performed it, why I performed the actions, maybe give you a little bit of insight. So I started off with a rustscan, a U limit of 5,000. I did the IP and then started putting in some nmap flags. So dash, and then nmap. So default scripts, enumerating versions, and then tag pn so that we aren't doing host detection. And let that run. It comes back with a ton of ports. It's a Windows machine, and I did tag pn. I can show you why. I know that, other than the fact that it actually says that when you spin it up, it tells you if it's Windows or Linux. But we have a TTL of 127. Windows hosts have a time to live of 128 typically. So it's a pretty good indicator, seeing 127, that it is a Windows host. So I do have the scan over here running. However, I'm just going to scroll down a little bit and we can kind of see what the scan looked like. We have DNS, Kerberos, RPC, SMB. We have some interesting stuff on higher ports, or what seemed interesting at the time, like this one. I guess it's just what is that, default? I don't know what HTTP API is. But anyway, I went there, I tried to do some directory busting, and ultimately came back with nothing. So what did I do next? I started back up at the top. We can see here somewhere, there it is, domain of active.http, which we would need to add to our Etsy host file. This will ask me for my password. There we go. Cool. And then we can see first line in here, I've got it set up active.http. And that will allow us to do some enumeration. So, and then we'll move on to enumeration. So we're going to go and start looking for enumerating SMB and see what we can find. We will do something like SMB client, -L, and then we'll put in the IP address and see if we can log in anonymously. We can. We have anonymous login. I'm going to do something like SMB map to see what we actually have access to, see what kind of access we have. So we can see that we have read-only access in the replication server, and then if we go back and we type in replication, we get rid of DAC-L and put in TAC-in for no password, we'll be able to get in here and look around. So user. Okay, so we can see a directory in here called active.http. If we look in here a little bit further, we can see interesting files or folders specifically. I'm kind of looking like group policy. If we hop out of here, and if we were to dig further in, you would see that that kind of is. So, well, what can we do? We can do something like impacket. So we can do manual enumeration for one. We could go in to the directories and look a little bit deeper, and I'll show you that in just a second. Additionally, what we can do is come out and do something with impacket. It is impacket get GPP password. And so we'll do impacket get GPP password, IP, TAC S or dash S or dash shares, and then the share that we're going to be looking in, which is replication. So what it's going to do is search through the shares. It's going to be looking for a groups.xml folder containing a C password. And you can see here that it found it, and it also decoded it, decrypted it. And then we have the username of active.http for the domain, and then svc tgs as the username with the password of GPP still standing strong. So let's go back and take a look in here and just see kind of what does that actually look like, right? So we will cd to, hopefully I have the full path, I do. We'll cd to here where it actually ended up finding the groups.xml file and see what it has. So we have the groups.xml, we'll do more groups.xml, And then in here, we have the C password. We can take this and using something like GPP decrypt, we can take it with GPP decrypt and then decrypt it as well. And again, we're just seeing the same password. GPP still standing strong, which I'm going to need in just a second. So I'm going to go ahead and copy that. The next thing I would like to see are things like, what does this have access to? I could do something like SMB client or SMB map, back you, and then we'll start entering in the username, and it's going to autofill because I've already done this earlier today. But you can see that we've got the service account, the password, we've got the IP address. It's going to go ahead and see what folders we have access to. So we have user, sysvol replication, and netlogon. SMB client. We'll pull out next. And we want to look in the shared users folder, or I want to look in the users folder. So we've got domain, username, and then password with the % symbol marking that the username or separating the username and password. If we use this, it's going to log us in, which allows us to look around. We can look into the service accounts directory profile and see what they have. So cd to desktop. And of course, in here, we find the user.txt. If you want, go ahead, spin active up on your own and come back in here and follow these steps and get through it, because I'll tell you, there's nothing like actually going through the process yourself, typing in the commands, and getting in here and really doing it. It's really going to help you the most. That's what helped me solidify a lot of these things. Like watching the videos and stuff, that does help, right? Because maybe you learn things you didn't know otherwise, or you wouldn't know otherwise, right? Through even research, but really getting in and getting hands-on seems to help, at least me, the most. I'll tell you in there, that's pretty much the only thing that I found that was interesting, the user file, and then we can come back and do something. So we have a service account, and what can we do with that? We can do something like get 80 users. Yeah, we can do something like get 80 users. To see what other user accounts are on here, what others are active. So use the -all flag, the domain, username, password, and then set the domain controller IP. We can see we have administrator, guest, care BTGT, and then our account that we have pwned. So likely privilege escalation is going to go something like this. From what we have to administrator, we can do something like impacket get user SPNs to get the service principal names, and we'll start off without the request flag. So again, we have domain, user account, password, the domain controller IP address without the task request, and we can see administrator exists. So we can request the administrators. We can request the administrators Kerberos ticket from the administrator account. So, well, let's do the request, and then we'll copy this out. Ooh. Copy out this ARP5 TGS hash, and then we can output that to a file, which I actually already have on my desktop. I called it administrator.ccache, and we can use something like John to crack it. So we use John, a file, and then a word list. I'm going to use rocky.txt because that's what all these CFs are using. And is it going to show me because I've already done it? It's not. Okay, to show you how fast it runs, I went ahead and deleted it. Just let it run. Yeah, so it's pretty quick. And then we can do show. Show is an invalid option. Okay, well that doesn't really matter because we have it right here. So it's Ticketmaster 1969, and that's the administrator's password. So we can do there. I mean, we have the administrator's password. So we can use something like impacket psexec and just log in. And if we do something, oof, let's not dir there, cdc, and then let's dir here. You can kind of see what this output looks like. I do not like how this looks. This is kind of horrible. And also I think I did it in the system32 folder. So I'm going to cancel that. Let's go and look at some other options that we have. We have psexec. We have smbexec. And we can do something like C. Nope, let's do dir C users administrator desktop. See what pops up. Awesome. So we can see that the root.txt file is here. But also this is just, it looks far cleaner to me. It's a lot easier to see. It does give us this nice little warning. Launching semi-interactive shell. Careful what you execute. I haven't done enough with it to really know like what kind of problems this will give you. I did try to like move into other directories, and it does not like that. That could just be something on my part that I'm not understanding, but it does not like me trying to change directory. So let's exit it here and let's look at one more. We'll check out wmyexec. And then after that, I'll show you something else. Awesome. So wmyexec, and this is kind of what it looks like on the inside. So once we've ran it to get a shell or an interact, whatever, a shell. This is what its output looks like. That's everything. I'm going to kind of go back and show you some other things. So I went and looked at a write-up. I went and looked at a write-up afterward, looked at a few of them, and came back, wanted to see what other tools people were using. If you look at the official Hackthebox walkthrough, they're using ldapsearch. So let's kind of see what that looks like, what that kind of output looks like. Here, this is the equivalent of us running like impacket get 80 users, I want to say. And this is that bit. So this is like, I think that it says that the number 2 is saying which accounts are, and then we have, of course, we have the exclamation point. I'm assuming that this means not logged in. I believe that's what I read. It's looking for object category of person, object category or object class of user that is not disabled. I'm sorry, is not disabled. Looking a little bit further in, we see administrator. And we can see, scrolling down, SVC TGS. So that's all that we have. And then if we do something like this ldapsearch, paste it in. She'll pull back. Where is it? Right here. It should pull that back. The service principal name. And I didn't change IP, so it's actually not going to 192.129.150 and 245. I think I said 192. So 10, 129, 150, 245. There we go. Service principal name, which is what we were able to request. So that this would be the equivalent of impacket get user SPNs without the request flag. One last thing that I'd like to show you before is that when we were cracking that ticket, we could have used hashcat with module 13100, and I want to show you how we could have done that. First things first, we'll type in ARB5. Actually, before we do this, let's just run the request. Let's get the request. So starting off, we can see that at the beginning, it starts with KRB5 TGS. We search for that, KRB5 TGS. We see that we have several. And I can actually show you this. Let's go, and how we know that it's this one. We can see the response of TGS REP, KRB5 TGS. And then let's go over to Wireshark, which I have pulled open. And we can actually see the response here, TGS REP. Final response from the from Kerberos was TGS REP. Come down, and we can see the cipher part of it here. Anyway, that's it. That's what the packet looks like. This is the full request chain, right? We sent a request, they sent a response, we sent the TGS request, they responded with, and they respond with the TGS rep. And then we can take that, and using hashcat, I have it still. Hashcat. Ooh, that's wrong. Hashcat TAC M13100, right? That's what it was. 3100. I don't know if I need that. User share wordless Rocky.txt, and then the file. Not W. It's probably nothing. Okay, yeah. So we'll let this run real fast. No, we won't. Oh. I think I know what I did wrong. I think I put it in the wrong order. Again, the problem is that I already had it, so let's run it again. We'll let it run. It won't take but a few seconds, just because the password of Ticketmaster is up pretty high. So we can see that it cracks it. Hashcat cracked it. There it is. There. We can do the tag show. Good lord, and it types out the whole thing. But it's hashcat M13100 administrator, or whatever the hash, the password list that you're wanting to use, and that's it. All right, well, cool. That rounds out the whole video. Anyway, I'll see you in the next one. Have a good night, evening, afternoon, wherever you are. Good day.